Well, to quote the prophet Ricky LaFleur, I'm not the kind of person to tell you a toda-so, but a toda-so. A fucking a toda-so. Man, it sure sucks to be this right all the time about Blizzard being as incompetent as they are. I gotta save this. So, first off, as you can see, this ain't D4. It's not going to be D4. I uninstalled. And I'm not going back. I seriously don't think I'm going back. It'll take the amount of fixes they'll need to make me want to come back. I expect, even if they get on the right track, it'll take a year. But I don't think they're going to get on the right track. Because they sure must have watched my last video about all the things they need to do, and then they did, like, the opposite of all of them. I hate to say I called this, like, Babe Ruth, but I sure fucking did. They have no idea what they're doing over there. Literally. I'm not saying that in a, like, wow, they sure sort of made a sloppy game. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. Those words exactly. So let's just like, I'm gonna go. It's early evening Friday after the new season hit, after all those patch notes came out. Like, everybody knows the patch notes came out and they're so bad that they're a meme, basically. And this recording is happening even like a couple hours after the emergency fireside chat that, like, they came out with, because they're like somehow they're shocked that nobody likes their patch notes. But let's go over the whole fucking thing. Let's start with my other video. Okay, what did I say? I said balance was a joke, didn't I? Yes, I did. I said balance was a joke. I said I figured they're not going to fix it. They don't know how to balance it. I said buff, don't nerf, to get balance right between the classes. I can't believe I'm giving this guy iron bits instead of just killing him, but I'm going to do it. Alright. Like I said, don't buff nerf. The time for nerfs was in the beta. I don't know what they were doing in the beta. Like I said, like, nerfs, everybody hates nerfs. So if you have to nerf, you have to get it out of the way very, 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 very early in the development process, so that you can buff classes to get them on roughly the same wavelength. You want each class within like a single-digit percentage of each other, like DPS wise. Like, as soon as you're looking at double digits, people are that's when you start getting people going like, maybe I should re-roll this other class in order to feel viable. They're nowhere near that. Right, so I called that shit. And Jesus, the nerfs across the board. What else did I say they were going to do? I said they were going to flip, like, they were going to turn like 100 dials all at once to try and fix the balance. And they sure did. They tried to fucking tweak everything. And of course it didn't work. Of course it's not going to work. It's going to feel like shit. It's going to make the game feel way worse than it did. Even in its, like, it doesn't feel very good. Like, it didn't feel very good a week ago. And now it feels worse. I uninstalled it. So fuck whatever's going on with the season. Like, who even cares? So yeah, I said they're gonna tweak 100 things and somehow, like, that's gonna fix it. we'll go a little more in depth into how wrong they were about that. We'll look at the patch notes. But I called that shit, didn't I? They tried to change everything. They were like, oh, let's fix all these things all at once. Now the game's balanced, right? I talked about gems. Gems fucking useless. Gems are fucking useless. They're useless. Nobody, like, they have a technical use in that whatever gem your build uses, you slot that gem in every slot, and then you're done for the lifespan of your character. What use are gems? Or I was like, they're not gonna address that. They didn't. There's too many gems. They haven't addressed that. They mentioned it again briefly in the fireside chat. Did not address the problem. Again, they swept the problem under the rug, like I said they would. Unique items. My God, did I not rail on those? For folks, look. I'm not claiming I'm some sort of brilliant genius mastermind when I come out and like say, hey, uniques are a fucking joke. But like, I came out. Fists of Fate was the one that I railed on the most. I said, look, if this is a good item, it's not a good item. If it's a viable item, it's not on purpose. If it's good, it's by accident. Because they don't know what they're doing. Again, I mean that word, that sentence literally. They do not know what they're doing with item design. And God, did the unique items, like the sorcerer's unique is a meme. It's so bad. People are just making fun of it. They're like, oh, it's going to teleport you to another game. Well, I'm playing Grim Dawn. I didn't even roll a sorcerer. Yeah, the uniques are total shit. Called that like Babe Ruth. Talked about modifiers, like how they have too many god-awful like item modifiers. I mentioned that. Like, nobody wants like 85% of the modifiers on items. They need to balance those better. They didn't. And there need to be fewer of them. They made more. They made the problem worse. We'll go into that. Unfucking believable that they would do the exact opposite of the thing they needed to do. Loot farming, they made it worse. Content tug of war, they made it worse. Where like nightmare dungeons, they want you in nightmare dungeons, blah blah blah. Like they made everything else less rewarding to funnel you into nightmare dungeons, so it feels like you're wasting your time doing anything else. Including Hell Tides, which were the one thing that kind of felt like fun in the open world to do. I glazed over that in the last video. In fairness to them, I was like, oh, you know, the overworld isn't worth it. Well, the one exception is Hell Tides, basically. Uh-oh, I'm gonna get my ass kicked because I don't know what I'm doing! I died. Okay. I'm kind of new at this game. The last time I played it was like 2017. I'm okay with being exposed as a newbie here. But yeah, Hell Tides, I glazed over them a little more than I should have. I should have been like, well, the Hell Tides are the one place that are kind of good. They made that worse. They accidentally made it way worse, and then they fixed that, but they made it worse. The only thing they did was they made it so that, like, oh, Helltide chests have a chance of dropping uniques. But most of the uniques fucking suck. So, as far as I'm concerned, that is very nearly a negative change. Like, a lot of viable builds do require one particular, like, unique. So this is a way to sort of get your build online for builds that require a particular unique. So that is a positive change. That's one positive change they made. But like, then you're going to keep getting it, and it almost doesn't matter at that point. It doesn't feel as good. Like, the good Helltide chest, that takes more now. So you have to farm for longer. Why do they want you to farm for longer? Like, if you're in the game, you're already playing the game. You're not like gonna do a Helltide and then quit. You're gonna go do nightmare dungeons and shit. So they made the Helltides worse. So they made the content tug of war worse. You're just gonna spend more time not feeling like you're accomplishing the goals you want to be doing while you're farming for a particular aspect of your gameplay. Let's put some points in physique. Apparently, I need a little more survivability because I went and got my butt kicked. And then we're gonna make damage there. So that the tug of war already worse. The season, my God, the season had to basically do with like gyms are useless, so we're gonna put in some quote unquote fun gyms. I looked at them. We'll look at them again. But basically, I was so underwhelmed. I was like, man, so these are gonna replace the skulls that I was putting in my jewelry before. But it sounds like such a pain in the ass that I almost rather just use the skulls. I would have rather had an awesome season theme like they were promising before the game came out. Big epic seasons. Yeah, it didn't happen. Total lie. We talked about boss design. Didn't really address that. They say there's another boss. I don't even know. It's so underwhelming, the patch notes, that like even if they put in like 5 more bosses, I still wouldn't want to play it right now. But at least in that aspect, I'd be like, well, they're going in the right direction. But I don't think they really addressed that, the whole boss drought. Nothing really about the Paragon boards. Total bust there. They didn't address that at all. A lot of people like the Paragon boards, but look, what happened? They nerfed everything across the board. So even if the Paragon board felt good because you could sort of like aim towards crit and vulnerable stuff, they nerfed all that. So at best, you're min-maxing the shit out of your Paragon board to get back to where you were before the patch. Nobody wants to do that. All right, get out of there, bud. I'm gonna let you live. I shouldn't, but I'm going to. Ooh, we're gonna kill him in a minute. Yeah, we talked about that. Tree or Whispers, not feeling good. I think they addressed that a little bit. I don't know that they tweaked at the drop rates, which was the real problem I had with them. But the real problem is you don't want to do the overworld shit anyway. So you're not farming for these Tree of Whispers pieces. And only to get drops you don't really need. Did they... Oh, I'm going to get my ass beat here. They are crucifying me. My God. I am not ready for that. They're a higher level than me. Okay. That's okay. That's all right. Do I have... Darius Cronley's the person I'm supposed to be killing. I didn't see him in there. I think those were random dudes. We're going to double check to make sure, and then we'll go back there at a later date. But anyway, yeah, Tree Whispers. I think they addressed like the XP that you get for them, which like that's cool. But they nerfed all the classes, so you're gonna have a harder time leveling up. They nerfed like the level difference, so you're gonna have a harder time leveling up. So buffing the XP, like even if you buff the XP by like 5 times or even 10 times, you're still going to be leveling slower. So who cares about that change? Complete at best, like, oh shit. Uh-oh. I've made a mistake here. All right. Okay, he went back home. So, yeah. So I'm completely, like, I talked about all of this shit. He really crawls up your ass, doesn't he? All right, we're gonna use potion. We're gonna see if we can outlive this somehow. I don't know. Y'all gonna watch me struggle. All right, live, damn you, live. Okay, we popped the potion just in time. All right, we beat him. He was the harder one. He was the higher level one. Anyway, you didn't come here to watch me suck at Grim Dawn. Yeah, quality of life. They did nothing for quality of life at all. I had a bunch of like quality of life suggestions about like the combat text, like vulnerable all over the screen when the health bars turn purple. They didn't even address that. Like on the ground it says 2,000 gold, and then you walk over it and a big pop-up comes up that says like plus 2,000 gold. Yeah, I know. I walked over it. Like stuff like that, like rawhide, like any material on the ground, you pick it up, it's going to be like plus this material that you just saw on the ground. It's like, I know. But yeah, like, you know, this is pretty obvious stuff. Like, and they didn't address any of that, you know, any of my real nitpicks, like my nitpicks. Oh, I think they did. Only like they sort of capped the level requirement of sacreds and ancestral items. Cool, good one. So they made one maybe two good changes, but like, so I railed on them for all of this, and they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like one good change, two good changes, and then like 85 negatives. But you know what? Here, let's go into details. I hate to be as right as I was, but I was right. Here we go. Let's pull that up. All right, malignant hearts. Okay, they go. You know, they go on your jewelry. Cool. Remove the level requirement for world tiers 3 and 4. These were like updates because again, this malignant hearts were so. This is a tacit admission that malignant hearts, their big seasonal theme, were so lackluster that people were like, "Fuck it, man. I just want the skulls instead because I need to be able to survive." How embarrassing is that? They bragged about how awesome these season themes were going to be. Season 1 was such a wash that people were considering skipping it for skulls. Oh God, an embarrassment. They tried to like sneak in these level requirements to get into world tier 3 and 4. Like the game is as insufferable as it is to play. And then they wanted to make you get stuck with the training wheels on even longer for some arbitrary reason. All right, let's have unique items. Look at this! Uber unique staff. Okay, you can get it in World Tier 4. This is like a Shaco unique. This is one of your Powerball uniques that you're never gonna see. And you gain a random shrine effect for 10 to 20 seconds after killing an elite enemy. Let me ask you a question, viewer. What if you win the Powerball and you get this and it's 10 seconds instead of 20 seconds? How is that going to make you feel? Is that okay? Why not all 20 seconds? If it's this unique, if it's this rare that like 3 people are going to find it by the end of the fucking season, why are they not all 20 seconds? Why would you need a range? Now, here's the thing, by the way. This sucks. Nobody wants it. 0 people want it. If somebody gets it, they're not going to use it. It's bad. It's a staff, okay? Which means it's a 2-handed weapon. And guess what? Motherfuckers need 2-handed weapons for their builds. They don't know how to play their own game. Any build, like you're not going to sacrifice a legendary aspect for your build at double strength, which means the most worthwhile aspect of your build to get maybe 20 seconds of a greed shrine after you kill an elite. Are they fucking high? And it can only occur once every 30 seconds? Why? Here's what it would take. Okay, for reference, this is Powerball rare. This is the equivalent of like winning the Powerball, and the reward is like a coupon for like a buy one get one free Big Mac at McDonald's, where it's kind of like, I really don't want to like waste my stomach space on Big Macs when I can go down the street to Wendy's and get like a pretzel bacon pub burger. That's so much better. But like you like, it's not. This isn't even fun if it were common. This isn't okay. For reference, in Diablo 3, you could get, like, there were the gloves. I think there were the gloves of worship, a legendary item that shrine effects last 10 minutes. And you could farm that easily by farming like Act 2 bounties. Like, in theory, you could farm that in like an hour or less. This, you have to win the Powerball, and instead of 10 minutes, 10 to 20 seconds. These people have no idea what they're doing. They don't understand ARPGs. They don't understand RPGs. They don't understand video games. People, probably multiple people, were like in the development process that this made it into the game. Like, somebody had to come up with the idea, somebody had to design it, and somebody had to okay it. This is inbred. For me to consider making a fun build around this item, you'd have to be able to extract this as an aspect, so that I could put it on any item. And like the effect would have to be gain a random shrine effect until you kill another elite enemy. So you just have a permanent shrine effect. Because the greed shrine fucking sucks. Like, most of them suck. Like, the only good one is invulnerability. But like, you know, like I guess you can't have that last forever, but you understand my point, right? But that's a game design problem. If you have shrines as shitty as like Greed Shrine, where like over the course of the shrine duration you get as much gold as like one yellow item vendors for, that is a waste of a shrine. May as well have not happened. Like, over the course of a shrine you can get as much gold as like 1/100th of a reroll on an item for stats. And that's not an exaggeration. That sucks. And that same shrine could have been you're invulnerable for the duration. Like, that's awful design. When your balance is out all over the place, fucking sucks. I don't know enough about Barbarian, but I almost guarantee you that this, unless the item itself is insanely strong DPS wise, nobody cares about this. They would rather have like a legendary aspect in the slot. I can't speak on all the class ones. Yeah, this, I can speak on the rogue one. This is dumb as a brick. Like, if you're playing a build, if your build is viable, then you have a way to make enemies vulnerable, right? So the idea of like shooting in a way that you have to like bank it off like off the back wall, like Vash the Stampede, and then hit the enemy you're trying to hit to make them vulnerable. But that only happens 30 to 80% of the time. It could be as low as 30. Like, so like you might line up the bank and then shoot your penetrating shot and it doesn't bank off the back wall and you just wasted a bunch of your fucking resource pool. That is mentally ill to put that on a unique item. It would need to be like hitting enemies from behind will make them vulnerable until they die. And also the shot does like 400% increased damage. Told you they don't know what they're doing. This is such a meme of a unique item that it became a meme. Like, they're like, oh, wow, teleport to a random location. Like, that's going to get you killed in hardcore. No people want this item. 0 of your players want this item, straight up. This is a bastardization of the item, the Oculus, from Diablo 2. All you did was sully the name. What a joke. Legendary aspects. Fucking stun a bunch of enemies when they get close. I guess that's kind of cool. These are interesting, but like, again, all this is really doing, like, most builds aren't going to use these. So all this is doing is like, all those rare items you got that had the affixes you didn't want on them. You're going to start to run into that problem with legendaries now. Now it's going to be harder to get the legendaries aspects you want because there's more of this filler shit. This might be cool for barbarians. I don't know. Again, I can't rightly speak to most of the class ones. Rogue. Every third cast of puncture is poison imbued with extra potency. I don't even remember which skill puncture is. Is that like either it's the basic skill where you throw the daggers, in which case you're not using it for damage and this is a complete waste, or it's one of the core skills but it's not the one you use ever because they're built around like rapid fire and like twisting blades and like barrage. And I don't think they addressed puncture, and it's useless. So either way, this awesome new aspect is literally useless for rogues. Waste of space. Right. I don't know about that. Like, sure, that's a bug. But again, none of the quality of life changes they need to make are in there. This is bugs. This is like all either bugs or like nerfing like team play. This is all crap. Co-op. They nerfed like co-op carries. Like, you can't get boosted by your friends anymore. Why do they care? Like, I think the reason they care is because they realize there's no game. They realize the quicker you get to the upper echelons, the quicker you realize there's nothing to do when you're there. True story. It's like do Uber Lilith and then wait for the next season. Useless motherfuckers. They don't know what they're doing. Bunch of dungeon stuff. Right. Gameplay. Like, they did nothing about balance in there, really. It's all just like fixing some stuff that may not have worked right. Like, it's fixed an issue. What they didn't fix was the biggest issue, balance. It's all the small shit. Shadow Step wouldn't trigger the aspect of uncanny treachery if the target was killed. advanced penetrating shot would knock down other players in PvP. Like, nobody wants to do PvP anyway, so nobody cares. Like, it's such a minor fix. Why would that should have been low on the fix priority, whatever. They can fix multiple things at the same time, I guess. Twisting blades wouldn't come back from a bloated corpse fiend when the corpse fiend died, one particular enemy. They didn't fix the fact that, like, some builds suck. Nah, let's fix that. Right. So that's all fixed an issue, fixed an issue, fixed an issue, fixed an issue, all fixed these issues. Like this, they remember how they're bragging about like 13, 14 page patch. It's all fixed an issue, fixed an issue, fixed an issue. Gameplay updates. Like, map discovery call, like those are technically good. This is cool. I didn't go over silent chests. I don't think it matters now because everything's so lackluster that nobody cares. But that is an example of a good change. Let's nerf the leave dungeon time. So like now you kill slower because your build sucks. Like, you know, you get the point. Like here's the thing. Here's some nerfing shit. Like, you know, let's get to the real meat and potatoes. But you understand what I was saying, right? Where it's like they one step forward, two steps back. Like why? Like everything's so much harder now. Let's also make it harder to leave a dungeon. It just takes longer for no good reason. Like, oh, it takes longer to do everything because we nerfed all the things. Also, let's make it so Helltide monsters are 3 levels higher. So like technically you're getting more XP, except that they nerfed the XP. Like, you know what I mean? Let's make it even longer to get the chests. Like all the like individual balance, like, you know, this is all like, you know, like nobody's avoiding an enhanced cold imbue because the lucky hit chance wasn't 40%. This isn't the problem. So like, and then like, you know, they fucking 5, 10, 15 to 6, 12, 18. Like this isn't the problem. Like, you know what I mean? But remember, I said they were going to twist all these dials. So how many dials did they twist for Barbarian? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22 dials for them. How many rogue dials did they twist? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So 22 and 28. Let's say the average is 25. So across all 5 classes, if the average really was 25, they twisted 125 balance dials across the classes. And then what did they do? They twisted aspect dials. They twisted item dials, drop rate adjustments. They twisted a monster HP scaling dial across the board. Let's make Greed Shrine better. I mentioned that, but it's not like, if it's not 20 times as good as it was, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's still never going to be as good as Invulnerability. World bosses drop potions more often. Doesn't matter. World bosses are a joke. Like, you're only dying at world bosses if you're AFK and 30 levels below them. What a joke. They didn't make world bosses fun in any possible way. This, like, whatever. Like, here we fucking go. Here we go, right? Let's... Control impaired duration reduction can now appear on pants. That is one of the more useful affixes. But, like, still you may opt for, like, more general survivability. Again, the problem is you can be CC'd from full to dead. Putting this on pants, even if you get a max roll on it, isn't going to fix that issue. They need to put diminishing returns in the game. Instead, all this really is another affix you can roll when trying to re-roll for like armor percentage. And now this is getting in the way. It's making it harder. Barrier generation can now appear for all classes. Remember I said there are too many useless fucking affixes as a rogue? I don't want barrier generation. I also don't want lucky hit chance while I have a barrier because I don't want barriers. You made it harder to make items fun. What the fuck kind of change is that? Nobody, like, rogues don't want a fucking barrier. Mastery skill damage newly added. Like sorcerer weapons. Okay, I got. Is that good? I don't know. It scales identically to core skill damage, so it's in that big old damage bucket. Resistance to all can now appear on shields. If you ever use shields, that's literally just in the way because resists still suck, and they're not going to fix it for like another season and a half. And when they do, I'm not convinced they're going to do it right either. Then nerfs across the fucking board on stat. CDR reduced across the board. They made it worse across the board. Imbuement CDR reduced across the board for rogues. Trap skill reduction. Like rogue targeted CDR. Their builds like require like being able to reset your cooldowns. So they made it worse. Technically just a straight up rogue nerf. Let's nerf cold crit strike damage, lightning skill crit damage, like just crit damage across the board, total nerf. Vulnerable damage, straight fucking nerf. Crit damage on swords reduced by this much. You remember how the grandfather, that's the only reason the grandfather was good? Yeah, let's nerf that right the fuck quick. Although actually, like, but that's the thing. Like, it probably isn't nerfed like the thing on the grandfather, but like, you're just getting you're getting Powerball lucky just to get back to close to where you were pre-nerf. Crossbows fucking useless now. What the hell? Like the problem wasn't that like crossbows were too strong. The problem was bows were too weak. It was increased attack speed, which is good for bows and bad for any melee build. That didn't affect melee attack speed, I don't think. You know what I mean? They don't know that. So total just like across the board nerfs on like the main things. And then like piddly like every like in the bargain bin damage bucket things were like increased. But everybody says like at the higher ends their builds feel so much worse. Like I'm supposed to be okay with like my CDR being nerfed, my main stat being nerfed, having to deal with way more re-rolls for shitty re-rolls, my crit strike damage being nerfed, and my vulnerable damage all being nerfed. But I'm supposed to forgive it all because now I can get like 25% more fire damage. Nah. So look at all the dials they've turned to fix the balance. I need you to ask, tell me this. Okay? For example, do you think... I'm trying to find the way to word this correctly. Do you think when they said let's increase shadow damage over time by 40%, do you think that number was mathematically arrived at in a way that took into account critical strike damage reduced by 17%? Do you think somebody had an equation? No, of course not. Do you think that when they increased trap skill damage by 33%, that they took into account The shadow damage over time increased by 40%, and the critical strike damage reduced by 17%. Mathematically, did they arrive there through some math? No, they did not. They twisted 250 balance dials by arbitrary amounts and said, this'll do. Maybe this'll fix it. The whole thing I said about them not knowing what the fuck they were doing, they were changing it the same way League of Legends tries to change it. They did it. Called that shit like Babe Ruth. Absolutely a total mess of a fucking patch. Do you think this is going to make the game, like, have any more longevity? You think this is going to fix the balance? Be honest, because I'm going to know if you're lying. If you really do think so, you're blinded by, Blizz fanboy zealotry. Hey, you can be one of the people to pay $800 for, like, priority BlizzCon tickets, you fucking simp. You sad simp. Like, there's no way this makes the game okay. Put it that way. Is this the metal? Okay, hold on. Offensive ability, and this is defensive stuff. I don't really care. But you're starting to get my point here. I hate to have been as right as I was, but I was right. I was right about all of it. These folks, they don't know what they're doing with a video game. They wanted to get into, like, game design, and, like, maybe it's not the programmer's fault. They're not the ones making the decisions, but the designers, they sure don't know what the fuck they're doing. They got there through, like, nepotism. They failed upwards, and now they're trashing a franchise because the game is a mess. They didn't fix it. The balance is bad. It's just bad. Nobody's happy with it. Unique items are train wreck, and they made it more of a train wreck with the patch because, like, every unique I know of, like, I understand that I can put into context sucks. And, like, the ones that I don't understand, it could be as good as a coin flip as far as I care. It's still, at that point, it's worse than it is better. So uniques are still a nightmare. Class balance is a joke. But now everything feels like shit. So, like, it's a race to, like, the middle. You know what I mean? And, yeah, of course, it was so bad that, like, it was a joke. So they came out with the fireside chat. I'm pulling this up on my phone. Here's a list of key upcoming changes announced by the devs during the July 21st live stream. This was a couple hours ago. Sorcerer and Barbarian will be buffed in the next few weeks. Hey, if you knew what the fuck you were doing with all these nerfs, we wouldn't be in this mess. So this is an admission that they don't know what they're doing. Sorcerers was in such a bad place that, like, it was unbelievable. Like, they were in the worst spot from my understanding. They were in the worst spot pre-patch, and they got nerfed the hardest in the patch. These people are out of their minds. They don't deserve to be in charge of a video game. So they said that in the next few weeks, in quotation marks. Admission that they don't know what they're doing. So, like, playing them is going to suck. There will be, quote-unquote, substantial increases to mob density in Hell Tides and Nightmare Dungeons. Like, whatever. That's not the problem. Not the problem. The problem was all the balance. In the next patch, there will be an additional stash tab. Don't care. Elixir stack size increased to 99. Should have been in there from the word go. A dedicated gems tab will come in Season 2. Folks, what's the problem with gems? Is it that they're taking up too much inventory space? No! It's that, like, you need a dozen maximum for the lifespan of your character. I don't need them in their own stash tab. I need them to matter, you fucking imbeciles. You Neanderthals. Didn't fix it. Swept it under the rug. Called it. Skill respec cost will be reduced by 40% to encourage switching builds. Okay, great. Instead of it costing me $3 million across the board, it's going to cost me 1.8 million or 1. I don't know. That sounds kind of right. Yeah, 1.8 million. Like, still sucks. Still a pain in the ass. Still doesn't feel good when you don't know what you're doing with regards to balance. And I find a build that kind of works. And then the next patch you nerf it into oblivion, so I have to respec or play around. Still costs too much. Still too much of a pain in the ass. You still gotta find new legendary aspects to even like try the new build and see if it's viable. They don't know what they're doing. Again, 40% cost reduction. Like, that's the problem. Adjustments to make leveling 50 to 100 feel less like a job. That's their admission that they fucked up. The game feels like a job. It feels like a job. This is why I uninstalled it as soon as I read the patch notes. Same with most of the people I know, by the way. There will be more opportunities to obtain Uber uniques in the future. Okay. Like, number one, with Uber uniques like that staff you introduced, you can fucking keep them. Not interested. But like the Shaco, let's see. The drop rate will be made a quote-unquote little bit more common over time. What? It's so rare that a little bit more common doesn't matter. I just got to win my local state lottery instead of the Powerball. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter. Like, they should just... it doesn't... There's no good, like, gauge for this shit until they even understand what they're doing with unique items. Because, like, if I finally get a Uber unique and it's that staff, but, like, that's how unhinged this shit is. They just don't know what they're doing. Let's see. Build loadouts are being discussed, but not currently on the roadmap. That was in Diablo 3. Should have been in Diablo 4 at launch, and they don't even know if they're going to do it, let alone when. Fucking embarrassing. This is just them paying lip service to buy time. There will be a way to find particular unique items and our particular legendary aspects in Season 2. So this shitty season, you got to wait that out before you can farm specific items that you may need for a build. That is, I reiterate, much worse than it was pre-season. Fucking embarrassing. Damage reduction system will be quote-unquote reworked in Season 2. They just twisted 250 balance styles. What makes you think they're going to know what they're doing with the reworked? It might be better, but it might be worse. They have no mathematical basis for the changes they're making. Game sucks. There will be more options to modify gear in the future. Sounds like more ways to have to sink money and time into making your build viable. Legendary drop chance will be buffed for loot goblins. There may be different loot goblin types in the future. There's tons of types of loot goblins in the game. In D3, there's one in D2, in D4. Massive downgrade there, and they're saying, well, like, there may be more goblin types in the future, but like, that's the problem. You know why they don't have multiple loot goblin types? Because nothing else about the game is exciting. Like, you're not gonna put in a loot goblin that drops a bunch of like crafting mats, because you don't really do that much crafting in D4. The crafting system sucks. It's gonna feel like a waste of a loot goblin. You're not going to do it for cash goblin, like, because you haven't figured out like a good cash economy yet. Gems sell for 4 gold, so like they don't know what they're doing. The greed shrine sucks. Like, it would have to be like 2 million gold, which will feel good, but that's one reroll on one item. There's not a legendary / unique loot goblin in the game. You're just like hoping that it drops off the current loot goblin. So, right. And there's a hotfix that'll be rolling out this afternoon, may have already at the time of this recording, that includes changes to nightmare dungeons. But like, nobody really knew what that meant. I can't be bothered to look because I'm done with the game. Also, And that's it for that post. Completely lackluster fireside chat. I knew that was going to be the case. No shit. Right, I died, didn't I? Last time I was paying attention to Grim Dawn. One more thing. Apparently the seasonal pass doesn't even get you as much premium currency, enough to buy the cheapest thing on the premium shop. Apparently. I don't know how true that is, but it doesn't matter. You know, doesn't matter. That's not, that's so embarrassingly bad that, I don't care about your seasons anymore. Your season passes, total joke. I got one because I got one of the upgrades, right? Oh, it looks like I gotta get over there somehow. Maybe I can do it from down here. Let's go that way. But that's the problem. This. So the seasonal themes that they promised were gonna be so fucking epic, they suck. The seasonal passes that they want you to pay for, they suck. The one thing that they could have been oh, well, yeah, everything in the game sucks right now, but seasons are going to save it. No, as lackluster, if not more so, than the rest of the game. So that's... Oh, I can't get up there that way. Oh, I think I gotta blow one up with dynamite. That's right. I gotta go get dynamite. So there you have it. They very clearly, and again, I mean this, they don't know what they're doing. So my question to you is this: why do you tolerate being treated in this manner? If you're still playing Diablo IV, why? In my other video, I said, well, I'm trying to get my money's worth. Well, there's the game in its current state, there's literally no way to do that. Because it's not worth the time you're spending. Time is money, friend. You know? So... obviously, I've gone on to better ARPGs. I talked about my problem with the Path of Exile board. My friend in my guild in World of Warcraft, WoW Classic, he's a diehard PoE guy, and he even admits, he's like, I have no idea how a new player could ever get into this because it's just so obscure. But there are better ARPGs out here. I'm playing one right now. I'm having so much fun playing Grim Dawn. This just, I looked up beginner builds, and this is apparently a beginner build that that stays viable throughout, and it feels really good to play, So why are you playing D4? Because you paid for it is not good enough. If you pay $6, God, whatever the amount you have to pay for a Big Mac now, and it sucks, you don't have to eat the whole Big Mac. Your parents aren't sitting you down at the table until you eat your vegetables. If it sucks, it sucks. And that's tough luck. The best way you can point out that you're not going to tolerate being, talked to in this manner is to uninstall the game. There's no way they don't have the metrics on people uninstalling Diablo IV. So just do it. Well, that's my phone ringing, and frankly, I've gotten my point across. So, yeah, uninstall D4. What are you doing?